Hi, I'm Tony Northrup, and for Chapter 3 of my book, Stunning Digital Photography, I'd like to talk to you about the qualities of light and shadow. And I'm in the studio today with my mannequin friend. No Chelsea today because I really want to be able to study the light and be able to poke at her face. And with light, if you were to turn your head even just a little bit, it completely changes the quality of the light. So I needed somebody who could stand still like only a mannequin could do. So as we look at a close-up of the mannequin's face, we'll see that it's pretty dark. That's just ambient light. We have just the room lights on so that you can see me. But I will go ahead and turn on this light here, just the modeling light. This is a strobe, but it has a light that goes continuously. And this will illuminate the model's face. This is a big softbox, or called an octobox. And as you can see, it has a huge light surface here. And this creates a nice, soft, even light because you have light coming from inside where the bulb itself is, and then it's hitting this corner, and this light is bouncing in that direction and bouncing in this direction, and there's light over there bouncing in this direction. So if you stand in front of it, it's really bathing you in light from all different directions. And the light isn't traveling in a straight line, it's traveling in every direction. So I'll spin it around to our very patient model, and what you'll see is the qualities of soft light, and it's actually really nice. Now, the light is over here on the right side of her face, so it's coming in from here, and it's leaving this very gentle shadow along the far side of her face. And you can see a nice gentle shadow underneath her chin here. So that's what I want you to pay attention to, is the difference between the highlights and the shadows, and how they move between the brightest areas and the darkest areas. This is what we call soft light, when the highlights and the shadows aren't that much different, and the differences between them are nice and smooth. Now I'll turn this off and go to a hard light source, a bare bulb. As I turn this light on, what we're going to see is hard light, and this is the harshest type of light. With the hard light, you see a very harsh transition from highlights to shadows. The shadows here are much, much deeper, and the highlights, you can see specular highlights here, which are these super bright highlights that gleam. It's those specular highlights that will make the face look kind of oily and gross, and everybody gets them, especially when you use hard light. And these are the properties of hard light. Soft light has smooth transitions from highlights to shadows, and the deepness of the shadows isn't that deep. They're almost as bright as the highlights. Soft light has very smooth, gradual transitions, a nice midtones and a nice light fall off. And the difference between the shadows and highlights isn't usually as much. Now for portraiture, I think it's obvious the soft light looks better, right? The soft light looks great. But if you're trying to show the texture of something, the hard light is often better. In fact, for things like birds and wildlife, pets, I really like hard light. Even on an individual, you want soft light on the face, but I really like a hard light on the hair. So understanding the difference between soft light and hard light, shadows and highlights is really key. Now let's try modifying that light a little bit by adding in a diffuser. I have a diffuser here. So let me move this light back a little bit so I can put the diffuser between her. So take note of that shadow on her face before I put the diffuser up. And as I put it up, look how the shadow on her nose changes. Without the diffuser and with the diffuser. And that's the difference between hard and soft light. Now I'm going to do something else. I'm going to move it closer to her. Because remember, one of the properties of light is not just the size of the light source. This is making a small light source much larger, but how close it is to the subject. So even at just a couple of feet, you can see a really distinct shadow on her nose. But as I move it closer and closer, see how that shadow changes? How hard or soft a light source is defined by the size of the light source and how close the light source is to the subject. So you can take a hard light source like this and move it much closer, and the light, in fact, will be softer. If I get farther away, it gets harder and harder. If you need more evidence, just think about the sun. The sun is a huge light source, but if you go out in the middle of the day when there are no clouds in the sky, it's going to be extremely hard light. It's the biggest light source in our solar system, but it's so far away that it becomes a little pinpoint of light. If it's an overcast day, well, it's really the same light source, right? But those clouds, they're gathering all the light and they're reflecting it in every different direction. So the clouds become a massive light source, and suddenly we have a much softer form of light. Another factor that can make light seem softer, even if it really is hard light, is how much fill light you have. So right now, we have a little bit of ambient light, but most of the light is coming right from this bulb here. What I will do is bounce some light in from the other side and see how it changes the light on the subject. So I'm going to grab a reflector. And a reflector, it's pretty much, the name describes it, right? It's like a big thing that reflects light. So I'm going to put this on the other side of our patient model. So as I slide it into place, look how those shadows change. Without the reflector and with the reflector. No reflector with the reflector. Still one light source, but the reflector is bouncing the light back and filling in all the shadows. It's still a hard light. And you can tell, just look at the line of the shadows. The line of the shadow is still hard, right? The transition here is still harsh, but there's more light in the shadows. It's a hard light source with fill. And we talk about fill ratios sometimes in photography, and that's the ratio of the light in the shadows versus your main light. So I'd like to show you one more thing, and that's the combination of the reflector and diffuser. So I'll grab this diffuser again. And I will put the reflector up next to our patient model, and then I'll put that diffuser in there too. And as we can see here, we see very even light. Without the diffuser, it gets harder. With the diffuser, it gets softer. Without the reflector, we have deep shadows. And with the reflector, we have much more even lighting and softer shadows that aren't nearly as dark. In other words, brighter shadows. Now I want you to do the same practice all the time. Whenever you're out, whether you're indoors or outdoors, I want you to be studying the light. If you're outdoors on a completely sunny day, you'll have one main light. That sun will be super bright. But I bet the shadows on the faces won't be pitch black. No, there'll be some light in the shadows. You'll be able to go under a tree where there's not sunlight and still be able to see, right? That's because the world around you is creating fill. The grass is reflecting light up. The atmosphere itself has little water molecules in it that diffuse light. It's all pretty amazing stuff, and it's complex. And there's no way I can teach it all to you, because you just need to be aware of it and then to start absorbing it as you go from place to place. When you're indoors, I want you to take a look at the lighting in the room and see how many different light sources there are and how they're affecting the shadows on people's faces or coffee cups or objects around you. Notice those shadows and which light sources are filling in those shadows. Or maybe there's only one light source and they really are pitch black. Which light sources are genuinely soft and which are completely hard? When are you seeing soft, gradual transitions from highlights to shadows? And when are you seeing harsh transitions? When are you seeing specular highlights that are just super bright and kind of giving you a sense for the shiny and smooth texture of a surface? And when are you seeing very smooth highlights that kind of make you feel like it's a little softer and not quite so silky smooth? If you like this video and you want to see more free videos, go to my page and click subscribe. I also hope that you'll click like for this video. This is part of my book, Stunning Digital Photography. So if you like this, you're probably going to like the book. It has more than 7 hours of video in it, as well as a whole book, right? If you think books are lame, if you'd rather just learn by watching videos, well, you're not going to learn great by just browsing random YouTube videos. You'll never get a comprehensive education. But I do have a DVD series out there, over 7 hours of video that walks you from start to finish through all the basics and intermediate level stuff of photography, including lighting lessons like this one. So I hope you'll check it out. You can go to sdpcommunity.com or just search for Tony Northrup at Amazon. Thanks so much.